Hi everyone, Ashley here and welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing a speed card making video of how to make this cute thank you card that definitely has a holiday vibe to it. So I guess you could say that I'm not quite over the holidays and I'm still in the holiday card making spirit, but this card is actually a thank you card. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm starting by ink blending the background using Distress Oxide inks, and the color combination that I'm using today is Mermaid Lagoon, Evergreen Bough, and Wilted Violet. And that's actually with the Evergreen Bough on the bottom there, the Mermaid Lagoon in the middle, and the Wilted Violet on top. And I just thought that this was a really kind of unique color combination for a sky. I used foam blending tools to blend the three colors on and just kind of went back and forth between the colors to blend them together. Then as you can see, I sprayed some water and then some shimmer spray to get this really cool shimmery effect where you can see the water droplets. And I just used a paper towel to sort of dab them off. Next, I wanted to have a kind of snowfall looking sparkly effect. So I'm using some white watercolor here, and this is actually a white pearl watercolor from a Gonzai Tombi set. And I'm just spraying some water into a little tub and then putting it onto an acrylic block. And from there, I can take my paintbrush and kind of just splatter it all over the page. I did this a couple times to really get a lot of splatter, and you can see that it almost looks like snowfall when you use the white splatter, which I really loved, and that was really the effect I was going for. I wanted it to look like a snowstorm almost, with all these white flurries in the background. And I think that's what the multiple layers of splatter can really do. So if you want kind of that snowfall flurry effect, or even just like extra sparkle, just keep adding layers of the splatter, and that's how you can get that cool effect. I went ahead and die cut some mountains off camera using a mountain border die from Mama Elephant, and I just ink blended some light pink onto that, and I'm doing the same sort of splatter effect onto this piece as well because I also wanted it to look snowy. And the cool thing about this die set is that it actually comes with the little mountain toppers separately, so you can cut out the little snowy mountain caps, which I ended up doing with some white sparkly paper, again to kind of look like snow. So the next step on this card, I wanted to have some birch trees in the background, kind of lining the scene. So I took some Lawn Fawn paper, this is their snow day paper, so it's a little bit of an off-white, which I thought was perfect for the birch trees. And I stamped them out in a light gray color so that they're not too bold. I really wanted them to blend into the background. And rather than fully color them in, I'm actually just using a Ranger Letter It marker, which is almost like a Versamark marker, and it just applies almost like a tone-on-tone, colorless ink effect. And it looks really good for shadows, so I just applied it along each of those trees in areas where I thought there would be nice shadows. I wanted the background border of this card to be a bold green color, so I'm just using a pattern paper by Lawn Fawn and gluing it down onto a white card base. Then I can go ahead and glue down my card panel right on top of that, and I'm doing all this with liquid glue. I like liquid glue for this type of thing because you can kind of readjust and it doesn't have to be stuck down perfectly the first time, which is good for me because I never tend to stick it down perfectly the first time. I like to have the ability to wiggle it around. So then I could also use liquid glue to glue down those snowy mountain tops onto the mountains. Like I mentioned, they're cut out of white glitter paper using those dies that came in the same die set. And I'm just trimming down the edges so that they all fit along that card panel that I had previously trimmed down to fit the card. I'm then gluing down the mountains again with some liquid glue to sort of build into the scene. The next layer is the birch trees, so I'm just cutting them down to size as well, and again using some liquid glue to glue them down onto the card base. The last layer of this card will actually be a hill made out of the same white glitter paper that I used for the mountain tops, because I kind of wanted them to look like matching snow. And this layer I wanted to be a little bit elevated, so I just used some foam, and I'm adhering the foam on both sides with some double-sided tape, which I find gives a really nice adhering effect onto the foam. I can then take that piece and glue it right down into the bottom of the card, and voila, you have the whole scene built. So now it's time to add in the critters. I don't have any video footage of me stamping or cutting out or coloring these critters, unfortunately, because for my holiday card making I had actually gone ahead and stamped and colored and cut out a whole bunch of critters for those cards, and I had a bunch left over, so I just used some of those for this card. And they worked really well because they don't have to be Christmas. Like the Yeti is wearing a scarf and the mice are wearing scarves, but none of them are wearing like Christmas hats or anything, so they really don't have to be super Christmas themed, which is really nice, so you can kind of use them for other types of cards and make them super versatile. I used a mixture of foam and double-sided tape to adhere all of these critters down into the card, and I'm not going to show the whole process because it does get a bit tedious and repetitive, but I did use the foam because I wanted all the critters to be at the same level as that hillside down at the bottom. So I just used the same foam and cut little pieces and stuck them behind each of the critters and then stuck them down to the card. For the sentiment banner, I decided I wanted to build my own sentiment that said, "Thanks so much," because I really like punny sentiments. So I managed to find a "Thanks so much" sentiment in one of the Lawn Fawn sets, and then a snow sentiment in another one of their sets. And I will have the names of those stamp sets that I used listed down in the description box below, so definitely go check them out if you're interested. I actually white heat embossed the word snow to make it stand out, and then I just stamped out the thanks and much words in black, so that at the end of the day you get the "Thanks so much" sentiment, which I think is really cute. I also used some foam and double-sided tape to pop that sentiment banner up so that it can layer just on top of those trees there, right in the middle of the top of the card. And the card is almost done, but I do have a couple more finishing touches. I added a few little iridescent gems around just to kind of add an extra little touch of sparkle, and then I added a layer of glossy accents onto the Yeti's goggles and his little snow cone just to give them some extra shine, which I love to do usually as kind of like a final touch onto a card. So that is the card for today. I really love how shimmery and glittery that it came out, which is really the effect that you get by spraying that background with shimmer spritz as well as splattering it with the pearlescent watercolors. It's a really cool technique to try if you've got those supplies at home. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more, definitely head over to my Instagram profile, which is linked down below. And in case you didn't know, I do post videos here to YouTube at least once a week. So if not before, I'll see you back here in a week. Thanks for watching. Bye!